Thank you for joining us for tonight's show. My name is Keiko Agena, and I am one of the new members of Impro Theatre Main Company. Now, we recognize the immense challenges that artists and theater companies are still facing in the light of the pandemic. In our mission to spread joy, Impro has been active throughout the pandemic. In addition to our classes going online, we have presented over 350 live streamed shows for free. So I'm here, you guessed it, to ask for your support in our mission. Now, when you support Impro, you are helping us to offset those costs, to expand our programming, to strengthen our community, and to spread joy. And you're not only helping the performances, you're also helping the school, which is a vital, safe, welcoming place for artists of all levels and backgrounds. And we've made it very easy to make a donation. Just go to improtheater.com, click the donate button, or you can go to, you can text it from your phone, text Impro to 44321. That's 44321, text Impro. And we are a nonprofit organization, so it's completely tax deductible. Well, thank you very much for listening to this pitch and for making a donation. And please enjoy the show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Impro Talk. I'm Mike Rock, your host. Thank you for joining us. Excellent show today with Kelly Lohman. We're very excited to have her. But first, a couple of announcements. Wanted to remind you that tonight, if you are tuning in on October 23rd, documentary unscripted Ghost Town Lockdown from the Main Company comes up at 7 o'clock. And on Friday, next Friday, the 29th, it's another pre-Halloween scary weekend with the Friday Jam, the 7 o'clock Impro Community Jam at 9 o'clock, Horror Unscripted next Friday. Next Saturday, the 30th, another Impro Talk with Dan O'Connor. And at 7 o'clock next Saturday night, another documentary unscripted Ghost Town Lockdown. So we've got a lot of scary things for the Halloween season for you. And if you're listening to this or watching it later, we had a lot of scary things. Physical Core with Sarah Montre Pepka comes up on Saturdays. On October 23rd is the first one, which is today, which means that it might be too late to join the class, or they might be still letting people in. You never know. Coming up on November 7th, Intro to Narrative with Lisa Fredrickson. Genre Core documentary is sold out, so you missed it this time around. But if you are qualified to take Genre Core, stay tuned to this space. You will hear about it when the next one comes up. But Brian Lohman has a new Improvising Shakespeare coming up on October 28th. That's Thursday afternoons in the Pacific time, Thursday afternoons, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. for 4 weeks, Improvising Shakespeare with Brian Lohman. For information about those, go to improtheater.com, or you can email school@improtheater.com, and Nick Clark will be in touch about all things having to do with classes. Without further ado, please welcome our very special guest, Kelly Lohman, to Impro Talk. Kelly Lohman, ladies and gentlemen. Woo!
Hello.
Kelly, thank you for joining us. The audience doesn't know that we've suffered some technical glitches, so I extra thank you for your tolerance with my technical glitches.
I don't know if Mercury's in retrograde or what, but something was against you. But it's all right. It's great. We're here again.
Conspiring against me. Well, okay, so I kind of start from the beginning with most storytellers that I'm talking to, because I grew up a theater kid, and always, from the moment that I didn't any longer want to be a garbage man, which was a thing for a little bit, I wanted to be an actor. Were you the same way? Did you grow up knowing, or either knowing or aspiring that you were going to be an actor or performer?
Yes. In fact, I don't really remember seriously saying anything else. So that really boxes you in. At this point, if I were to give it up, it would be really weird. No, it would be totally fine. But yeah, since I learned what it was, I've said that I wanted to do this job. So I think I just have been so fascinated with stories forever. And I didn't really want to do a real job. I wanted to just tell people stories. How do you get involved? how do you play a character? How do you be in a story? So I did a lot of, this kind of stuff as a kid, looking for attention and trying
Kelly
to
was
have an
just
audience
doing
adopt it.
Kelly was just doing jazz hands. If you're listening to this,
Yeah.
Kelly was just doing some choreography.
Yeah, just a lot of jazz hands. I was very presentational and very out there for a long time.
Did your family when you were little aid and abet the performing artist in you? Were costumes made and sets built in the backyard and the living room and that sort of thing?
We never took it that far, but they did watch a lot of performances. I don't personally have the gift of set design or costume design, like to a very embarrassing level. Like I'm the kind of person where I volunteer to help with a set and people say that they're fine, they don't need me. I'm pretty much only allowed to paint walls. That's about it. And I don't like costumes. And it's hard for me to imagine them. So I was a very unimaginative kid in those ways, mostly doing a lot of song and dance performances and stuff.
When you were little, did you watch a movie or a TV show or go to a play and then want to get that material and memorize it? Like, were you one of those people who, like, you saw, I don't know, Oklahoma or West Side Story as a kid and you were like, oh, I need to get a hold of that and learn it?
Yes, this all started when I saw Wizard of Oz when I was like 3 or 4 and I wanted to be Dorothy. And then when I figured out you could do that, that's when my world changed. But yes, I memorized a lot of the roles in Annie and in The Sound of Music and in The Wizard of Oz, thinking that one day I could portray one of them. I never did any of them, but I was prepared to.
Did your family buy like original Broadway cast albums of shows so that you
No,
could
they really weren't into that kind of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of like, John Denver and Chicago and Tom Petty and those kinds of things. We did, I think, maybe have the Snow White and the Seven Dwarves Disney soundtrack. That was about it. So a lot of this was just stuff that I got into later in high school when CDs became a thing and I could kind of find this music and seek it out. I started getting it as gifts, but it wasn't really at our house.
It wasn't your house wasn't like a research library for your habit, what would become your career.
We did watch a lot of like movie musicals though, old movies.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Because that's how I grew up. My mom put our whole family on this sort of a steady diet of movie musicals and then also soundtrack albums and that sort of thing, because she was a community theater choreographer and director. So I know a lot of, I'm not a sort of a unlike you, we'll get to this in a second, I'm not a sort of a musical theater performer as much as I'm a performer who knows a lot about musical theater because of my early exposure to it, sort of, I guess.
Love that. I'm gonna get you to karaoke now, Mike.
Oh boy.
Do all the musical numbers that you
right.
memorized as a kid.
Mr. Cellophane and etc. So when you were pint size and wanting to be, you found out, oh, Dorothy was portrayed by a human person whose job it was to do that, and you were like, all right, that's did it take a while for like your parents to and family to kind of rally behind that idea for you, or did they even need to really? I mean, was that just sort of a aspiration?
Yeah, I don't come from a family of performers, so I think it maybe did take a while for everybody to kind of realize, oh, this is a real thing. But they were always supportive. Nobody told me to pick something else or do something else, and they were great along the way. But I think, we didn't have the intrinsic, the things you learn when your family's in the business. So we had to kind of figure everything out for ourselves. And I went to elementary school with a kid who had an agent. And so once I figured out that I could work professionally as a child without living in Los Angeles, I was like, I had got to get one of those.
Th-
So I asked for one for a long time. And then when I turned 10, I was allowed to go have one. They finally gave in on that.
You're 10. I mean, I'm imagining your Santa Christmas lists. I want I don't know what, the Hot Wheels cars, a Barbie, a Nancy
Yeah.
Drew book, and an agent.
An agent. Yeah.
That's amazing. At 10.
At 10. Yeah.
And this is in Seattle.
Yes. I wish I had a picture of my first headshot to share because it's just popping into my mind, but I was very eager. My personality now is rather even, but it used to be very large. And I think now I just have artistic outlets, so I don't have to force it out all the time, but it's just like the biggest eyes you've ever seen. Like,
Sure.
I had to look so happy, cute little denim jean jacket on,
Oh,
black and white headshot, good stuff.
please get a hold of that so we can add it to the wherever this interview will be stored. It'll be wonderful to have. Because now you're probably, I would say, I mean, this is my estimation, but I would say you're probably equal parts director and performer. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, and I think that's always been the case. I mean, my mom likes to tell a story of when I was 3 doing my first dance recital, and the other children weren't doing what they were told to do. And so I was on the stage, like explaining where they should go and what came next. And so she likes to say that that's when it became evident that I was a director also.
Yeah, it was early. It was early.
Yeah.
So you get an agent there in Seattle. Was there enough like a production and TV and film and commercials to kind of have auditions regularly?
Yeah, there was a good amount. I mean, nothing like here in Los Angeles, but there was enough to keep me busy and feeling like I was, a real actor till I was maybe in junior high, and then everything kind of moved up to Vancouver. But it was a little bit busy for a little while there. I was able to do some local commercials, which was fun, and audition for some other cool stuff.
Do you have video of those things from back then?
One of them is on YouTube.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
This is exciting.
Yeah, it's
What?
for an Olympic wood stain commercial. And it aired in the Northwest. It aired in rainy areas.
Yeah, because you need to seal your deck or your siding. So it's findable. What do we have to put into YouTube to find it?
Oh gosh,
Okay, well, Olympic wood stain.
Olympic wood stain, and it may be the phrase "You don't have to worry."
Okay.
The song that's playing. Right. I'm really not sure. My brother likes to find it every once in a while and then play it for everyone. It's very cute though. I just am getting out of a car and running into my house under an umbrella with my mom.
Yeah, rainy Seattle, or the rainy Northwest. And then in high school, were you heavily involved in theater and musicals in high school?
Yeah, I did school theater stuff for a long time. So junior high through high school, did all the school stuff. There weren't a lot of I didn't know about any community theater in my area that would hire teenagers. I auditioned for some local Seattle theater and stuff. But I started taking classes in downtown Seattle at that point. And yeah, I kind of let go of other stuff like soccer and volleyball and softball and stuff, which I was never really good at anyway, but they were fun. But at some point you have to just kind of let those things go and then just only do theater, I guess. But, we were all those high school theater kids that were like, oh, are we on a break? Let's go play basketball, because we all gave up sports to do these shows. And then we kind of missed them. So we would like get together and play ultimate frisbee and football and soccer and stuff.
Wow, that's really cool. I didn't have that.
Fun.
I had eschewed theater for a couple of years and become more of an athlete, an aspiring athlete, and then came back to theater when I was a senior. So yeah, but that sounds cool. Like that you're all like, hey, let's go blow off steam and play basketball or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, my friends Trent and Trace and I joined the Honor Society 3-on-3 basketball tournament. Everyone else in the tournament legitimately played basketball. We were just theater kids who played on the side. And we called ourselves the passing game. That was our team name because we really weren't very good at shooting, but we felt like we passed very effectively. And I think maybe we made 1 or 2 baskets and we were out very quickly, but we really rallied for the Spirit Award. So we like campaigned all around, and then we ended up getting the Spirit Award at the end of the tournament. And then we convinced the principal to put that in the awards case in the lobby of the high school. And it was there for years because no one understood why it was there.
I
The
love
principal
it.
retired that year, and it was really pretty fun.
That's amazing. That's the determination of theater kids to,
Yeah.
get the public relations machine rolling.
Oh, absolutely. We were very effective in that way. So it was fun.
And to naysayers, make no mistake, a good solid passing game is, that's what won the Chicago Bulls a lot of championships. I mean, that and Michael Jordan, but like, being able to keep the ball, being able to
Yeah.
hold on to the ball is an important aspect.
We might have all made like okay point guards if we'd started actually playing basketball earlier. I don't know, but it is fun. I guess I had the benefit of really like just enjoying playing sports, which you don't get if it's like your thing and you're supposed to be good at it.
Right.
So I've always just had the lovely advantage of having fun playing them, which was great.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I can tell you from experience that it was sort of torturous not being very good and thinking that I was supposed to be good at certain of the sports that I endeavored. So uh, so in high school, as I understand it from previous conversations that we've had, you got involved with the International Thespian Society.
Yes. It was so wonderful. It was really one of the best things I had the opportunity to do at that age. And we did it at the state level, which was great. I was a like state officer for a little while. And then we did it at the national level, which was very cool. And for those of you who don't know about the International Thespian Festival, it's so great. I went when it was on the Lincoln, Nebraska, University of Nebraska campus. And it's just theater and classes and more theater all day long. And you can take classes in whatever you like, improv, clowning, Shakespeare, it's all there. And if you don't want to take a class, there are a dozen shows going on at any point during the day. The big main stage shows that everybody watches are all incredible. And your minds are blown by all this high school talent. And you get to hang out with all your fun theater friends and all these theater strangers all week. And it's really special.
It is amazing. And it's been going on for like 80 some years. And I somehow impossibly, somebody saw a show. I had been doing improv for 10 minutes maybe. And somebody from Thespians, a person who wasn't, I think he ran his own high school theater group and was the director of the theater group in somewhere in Indiana, but he also happened to be a big decision maker on the national level with the Thespian organization. And he happened to be in Wisconsin and saw one of our improv shows. And I got a letter said, hey, I'm this person and we saw your show, and would you come and teach high school kids this thing? And I was all of 21 years old or something. And at the time I was still living in Wisconsin. I drove down, this was when the festival was in Indiana. I would drive the 7 hours down to the festival, teach classes all day. And then at night, the kids that took my class would do a theater sports show. I would host them doing a theater sports show every night. And that was a lot of years ago, and I'm still doing it. Through, but also obviously now, because my own improvisation has changed a great deal. I teach a lot of different things, but Thespians is this amazing outlet for kids who are artistic and either on the technical side of things or on the singing or the dancing or the acting side of things, and you get to go to this beehive with all these like-minded students and adults who just anyway, it's just a theater explosion. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it blew my mind.
So we were in Lincoln, Nebraska at this thing. Well, did you go more than once?
Yeah, I went 95, 96, 97. So 3 times.
Yeah. So 3 different weeks in the sweltering heat of Lincoln, Nebraska, we were on the same campus at the same time, probably in the Lead Center auditorium at the same time watching shows. I probably walked out on stage to do the pre-show how to behave in the theater routine that I used to do. And yeah, that's so weird and great.
I really wish I'd taken your class, because I didn't know you had a show with it too. That would have been really a motivating factor. I really missed out.
Yeah, we had this.
Yeah, I'm sure I saw you.
In Nebraska, we had this black box across the street from the Lead Center in the Temple building, and it was like 200 seats. Kind of like theater in the round, really, and it was a blast. But that's enough about that. So you've done shows with the Society, you've done shows with Little Candle Productions, Interact Theater, Fremont Center Theater, Versus Theater. So eventually from high school, you found your way to Los Angeles, not Los Angeles right away. So
Yeah, I went to DePaul University in Chicago first.
Right.
For a year. I went to their BFA acting program, and it was great. I met some incredible people. That was really my first exposure to narrative improv, like long form narrative, where we would do a scene that was 15 or 20 minutes long. And because it's very Viola Spolin based there, which was really cool.
Chicago.
And it was fantastic. But at the time, they were accepting 50 kids and then cutting 30 in the first 2 years. So I was cut. And they basically just send you a letter if you come home from school and you're excited and you've put all your stuff in storage there, so you can, you're ready to go back. And then you just get this 1-page letter in the mail that says they're not inviting you to continue. And
oh my God.
Yeah. So that's a great way to figure out if you really want to do something. And and it's also a really nice primer for all the rejection that's going to follow. So I feel sort of grateful for it now, because it's clarified a lot of things for me. And I know audition rejection really bothers me. So that's really kind of
yeah, to like get home after the program, after the first year of the program, and then find out you have to go back and get your stuff, and that you're not going to be like, oh my gosh.
I did that. I flew back that next October and I got all my stuff out of storage and shipped it home. Took it all to the post office and shipped it home and said goodbye to people. It was strange.
Did you ever have like any I don't know how to put it, but did you ever get back in touch with any of your fellow students from there later, or teachers or anything like that?
I'm still friends with people that I met at DePaul, which is great. Really wonderful people. And a lot of my family friends, my real community friends here in LA, come from that DePaul connection and sort of branch out from 2 or 3 people that I met there, which is really great. So lifelong friendships certainly forged, but it's just a really strange.
But the big lesson in rejection, good Lord.
Yeah.
And then so you make your way to LA, and I assume that you were, because you made the decision to go to LA, I assume that means that you were newly energized to be like, all right, that's it, no holds barred. And that's how you get involved with all these different theater companies.
Yeah, it's very like I'll show you, you know. And I was gonna go to ADA when I came here, and like 6 months, and then I didn't go to the American Academy because I was getting such good training just out other places. I started at Groundlings almost immediately after I got here, and it was awesome. And I just loved the improv, and I loved I had such great instructors. And I was with this school called Young Performer School with these wonderful teachers, Diane and Melora Hardin, who were amazing. And I didn't want to shut down audition opportunities and give up these classes that I loved. So I didn't end up doing that. But I think it worked out. Instead, I got a job at Starbucks, and through Starbucks, I met this customer. His name was Leon Russum. He's a really talented actor. He's all over television, but he did a lot of really wonderful theater in LA at the time. And he would come in and order an iced venti 6-shot all ice Americano. And
That's
we
a
were
real,
instructed.
that's a real theatery drink. Six
Yeah,
shots.
yeah. I could do a whole half hour just on people's Starbucks orders, I think, from that year stint. But yeah, so we would give it to him for free because our store manager was an actor, and he was like, that's Leon Russum. He's incredible. He's part of the best theater company in town. We just give him his drink. And so that's
Which
what we would
company
do.
was his?
It was Interact Theater
Interact,
Company.
right, right.
Yeah, which was just a lot of New York actors moved out here to do film and TV and started doing readings together. And then they started producing stuff. And then they would, I mean, these guys like did a bunch of Broadway. We had a Tony winner and some Tony nominees, and they were just incredible. And then they wanted to do this tiny black box LA theater because it is kind of the best thing. There's nothing like being that close to your audience and doing these big musicals or really huge meaty plays just feet from people like that, where the audience is so connected to you. So they kind of were all addicted to it. And it was excellent. It was such a great training ground. I got involved through Leon understudying, and then just didn't go away. And so they let me join eventually, and then
Cool.
got to do a lot of shows with them, and they were incredible. It was a great time. About 12 years I was with them.
Wow. It is amazing that difference between, like, the improv spaces, for anyone who doesn't know, we have these very small black box spaces in Los Angeles, but we do shows at gigantic places and medium-sized places as well, on the road or in other parts of LA. But the difference between doing a play or an improvised play or a musical, I would imagine, in a black box with 30 people or 50 people or 100 or whatever it is, versus on a stage with 1,000 people, it's a completely different energy, but neither is better or worse than the other. And I think there's a misconception that if you're performing in an amphitheater with 1,000 people or 5,000 people or something, that's better. It's not. It's just a different kind of. There is definitely, like we were talking about Thespians, there's definitely this amazing feeling of like the energy of 3,000 people reacting to whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
Which is great. But there's just nothing like that really intimate connection that you can have with an audience when it's a tiny audience in a little room.
Mm-hmm. I think the vulnerability of the small space is what really gets me. I love the big space, and the energy in it is addictive because you feel the energy of all those people, and it's so great. In the small space, it's the intimacy and the vulnerability of it that's incredible, because you can, whether you're in a seat watching or on stage, people are going to see things you just miss in a large space. So the tiniest change in someone's face when a line is said is perceived by everybody, and they can feel it. And that's really a neat and beautiful thing. And it feels more voyeuristic, I think, but in a nice way. The big spaces are great, but I think when you're in those black box theaters, you're relating to the characters on a whole nother level because they're right there, and you see so much of what's going on.
Yeah. And feel it. You can feel when emotion is going on. You, as an audience member, when you're 6 feet away, you can feel that energy in the room.
Yeah.
I love that phrase, vulnerability. The vulnerability is the sort of the key word there, the key difference there. That's a great way to frame it. So you eventually do lots of theater. And when was it sort of simultaneous that you were doing improv? Because I know you've done improv, for years at besides Impro at Second City and at UCB and at iOS and at Groundlings but like, was it were those two roads parallel, or did you pick up them at different times, or?
Yeah, I kind of they were mostly parallel. I just love improv so much. I did my first theater sports show in high school, and once you've done one, it's real hard to stop doing improv. I
Because
think.
Seattle Theater Sports is a huge storied theater sports organization. I mean, it's been around forever, and the guy that started the theater sports that I eventually took over in Wisconsin it was a Seattle theater sports person, Chris Keene, who had come to Wisconsin because that's where he was from, and anyway, so that's how. So yeah.
Yeah,
Weird.
they're incredible. We would go see them all the time in high school, and I've seen Impro Theatre Company members do Seattle theater sports shows, which is really cool. And it really inspired me. Theater sports really inspired me to want to do improv. And also there was Real World Los Angeles, and there was one episode of Real World LA where they all went and took a class at the Groundlings, and I was like,
what?
that's where I'm going.
I love
Yeah,
it.
it was pretty simultaneous, and I've always been really interested in longer form improv anyway. A lot of classes I was taking were doing that, and then got involved with the society in like 2005. And we do some short form, but we were doing 45-minute musicals, and that really took off and was fun. We got to do a lot of college shows touring around. Cities hired us sometimes to come in, and those touring improv shows are just really fun.
Oh yeah, it's just the energy is amazing. You just like rolling in there like, hey everybody, we're just here for tonight. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So you've done you Los Angeles obviously was how you got into TV. You got Gilmore Girls and Bones, and you did a lot of Days of Our Lives.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to do a few episodes. It's the most fun thing. Daytime television is the best. It moves so quickly, and everyone is so nice and kind, and you can't pretend like you're blending in, because they all know each other, and many people on these shows have been working there for 30 plus years. So everybody from sound to camera to hair and makeup to cast knows if you're new, and they all introduce themselves and say hi, and it's great. And then you go out and you do one rehearsal, and then you do one take, and then you're done. And it's I did one day that I think I was there 2.5 hours.
Oh my gosh.
When I was sick baby's mom.
Sick baby's mom.
Yeah. So great. But they're so cool. It was like a emotional co-star, when you get an emotional co-star and you have to like be sad and cry and like be tormented, and our whole purpose was so that this other character could see us and also feel sad for herself. And this woman who had the scene with us, she played a doctor on the show for many, many, many years, and she knew we were new to Days of Our Lives, both of us, and she knew that it was a hard thing. So she was so encouraging, and she was like, listen, this is great. Don't feel the pressure. Just breathe and do this and that. And it's okay. You don't have to get it exactly right. No one's getting anything exactly right. And let's just do this together, and I'll be there with you. And she was so cool. And you just really, it's kind of unmatched out there.
That's great.
They're just the nicest people.
And she probably called you Kelly and not sick baby's mom.
I would have been happy with either. I was proud of that one.
Tell me about Show Offs.
Yeah, Show Offs is awesome. It is a fully improvised musical show. So we do a 22-minute improvised musical every episode. The audience votes on the genre, and then once they do, we do our musical, and it's fantastic. It's a BYU TV, and they have these beautiful sound stages in Provo, and just wonderful resources and awesome people. And hopefully we'll get to do some more seasons. It's a tough show to do because you need a live studio audience. So it's been a little bit, hasn't been around for a bit, but
so you've been off during COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm part of the guest cast, so I've been lucky enough to do maybe 8 or 10 shows with them, which has been great.
Well, that's amazing. So if you were like, if you had your druthers and you woke up tomorrow, what would you be? Would you be acting in something, or would you be directing something?
Oh, that's tough, Mike. I think directing. I think that I like to be part of the whole story.
Yeah.
And I don't really feel the need anymore to be in front of the audience or on the camera.
With the cute denim jacket and the really big eyes expression.
Driving cute denim jacket. I think, I'm much more interested in the story as a whole, and how do we tell that and honor the story, and how do all the pieces fit in and fit together. So I think I prefer directing, even though I've done quite a bit less of it. It's sort of where my head's at these days.
We're going to get to a couple other things in a minute, but you've done a lot of musicals, like not just improvised ones. Do you have a favorite musical or a favorite role that you've been in? And is it different than your favorite musical? Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I would say it's actually probably it's probably the same thing. I had the most fun during doing Urinetown. So Interact got to do the West Coast premiere of Urinetown. And for those of you who don't know the show, it's really urine, like pee. It's like saying Pee Town. It is, it's still one of my favorite shows. I think it's genius. It's such a satire, and all the musical numbers are kind of send-ups of the showstoppers from other shows. So every song is memorable and great. And I played Hope Cladwell in that, and it was just delightful. The whole track of that character is very fun, and I love that show. It's still probably my favorite show.
Yeah, Urinetown comes from Greg Kotis and Mark Hallman from Too Much Like Makes the Baby Go Blind, the neo-futurists out of Chicago. So you have a strong Chicago connection there, from the DePaul year. But that's cool.
I saw Too Much Like Makes the Baby Go Blind a couple of times my one year that I was there. So it was pretty fun to
that show that they did forever. And I don't know if they still, or somebody still does it, but that had a huge effect on me as what was possible for live theater. It's just wonderful.
Yeah.
We're gonna do, because of our earlier mentioned technical glitch, we're gonna take a moment and then continue. We're gonna talk about Ripley and the fact that you directed Ripley, the all-women improv group, and the fact that you, Kelly Lohman, directed Ripley live improvised films, and some other stuff in just a minute.
Great.
All right, so with the new Impro Theatre Company ensemble thing, is there any one particular thing or aspect or task or something that you're looking forward to when COVID is over, or when it's safe to be together in the same place?
Yeah, aside from just being together in the same place with everyone, which will be very exciting. I think the moment I keep thinking about is when you're backstage before the show starts, and the lights go down and you're just waiting for that first light to raise, and you don't know who will go out or what will happen, and everyone has that anticipatory energy together, and it's just so exciting. I really miss that a moment and that feeling and that kind of blast off that occurs after you share that sort of a thing together.
Yeah. There's just something about being, no, for any show, there's just something about being backstage right before it starts that feels like, you know,
Yeah.
and it is weird. It's sort of, I don't know if weird is the right word. That sounds a little condescending, but it is notable that that same feeling that I remember having when I was like 7 years old and doing, a community theater production of Peter Pan or something. I feel that same feeling before doing like, an improv show now or something like that. I feel that same like pre-show, like, we get to do
Yeah,
this. That's pretty great.
it is. It really is.
So let's talk a little bit about what Ripley are up to. Do you use the British version and say "are" for the group, or do you say is Ripley is this and that, or Ripley are this and that?
Oh, wow. I think we usually say is.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes we throw in some are. Um, depending on who's
So
doing it.
I'm sure most of our audience knows Ripley, but can you give us a quick intro?
Sure. Yeah, Ripley is an all-female improv company that is focused on telling stories about women who save the day, save the world, or save each other. And we're really interested in giving agency to female voices. So something that's wonderful that improv does is it lets us build our own piece of the story. And we think that's really important, given the chance to label yourself and define yourself, and then be in a space where people will support that and listen to what you say. So we're really trying to build that together, and we're really interested in how improv can cross over into other mediums. So not just on stage, but what can we do in front of a camera as well? And it's been really fun to explore all of this with these women.
So I know that you improvised a bunch of stuff on film where you would like, if memory serves, I think you would like have like stores of costumes in different places, and somebody would find out a rough sketch of who their character was and would suddenly have to like turn a corner and walk into a room where there was a camera rolling and the other characters were already there. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I love that explanation because it's so true. So I directed a series of films for Ripley, and the idea was to shoot one a day for 5 days and then just see if we could get something that worked. We ended up really liking 3 of them, so we kind of turned it into an anthology series. But I got suggestions from our sort of audience, the folks that helped us with crowdfunding through a survey, and then picked out what we were going to do and then gave them to the camera and design teams. So we all kind of knew a couple weeks in advance that, the first day was quarantine. We didn't know that was going to be a real thing that happened to all of us at the time.
Oh, man.
It seemed sci-fi when we shot this. The second suggestion was Thanksgiving. The third was troop reunion. Then we had yoga retreat, and then neighborhood watch. And we kind of pulled other suggestions a little bit here and there, as one will do. And so hair and makeup and wardrobe worked together to create looks every day for each person. And I would tell camera, okay, day 2 is Thanksgiving. Jessica Linverdi is our lead. We're going to make it her house. And so we also took community theater for that. So the hair and makeup and wardrobe, we were like, okay, well, let's kind of dress Jess like she's a producer. Let's dress Laurie like she's in marketing. Let's dress Amanda like she's a director. Let's dress Eliza like she's an actor. Sarah like she's an actor, just kind of getting these, Maddie like she's a tech person. Like, they put these looks together, and then you never know what the actor will do with it. So they are getting into all of these costumes and they're not really sure how they fit together, or why do I have on this wig, or Maddie's like, oh, I have a nose ring. I don't, okay, cool. Like no one knows what they are. And the set gets dressed and clothes to them. And then, right before we warm up, and I said, okay, today the suggestion is Thanksgiving and you are a community theater troupe. And then they're like, okay, great. And I said, okay, Jess, come with me. It's your house today. And introduce Jess to her house, tell her where some props are, some things that might matter for her since she has to know the place. And then just start rolling and decide who comes in first, who comes in second, how they will enter and where, and just sort of let them do what they will do. And we had this great DP, Catherine Brillhart, who managed to not be intimidated by this process and was excited to sort of just pick up the shots in the moment and follow the story. And then, then we had a film that we could kind of edit into something. It was very fun.
It sounds almost like a prank show, but the people being pranked are actually the improvisers in a way.
Yeah.
And you've also directed other things. I mean, you, as you said before, you directed with or assistant AD'd, I guess, maybe with Interact. And did you direct something at Fremont?
I directed some for a new play festival at Fremont, did a couple festivals with Interact Theatre Company too, that were directed staged readings, and did a production of Laundry and Bourbon there when I was in my 20s,
Nice.
which was fun, that I directed. So yeah, some theater here and there, and then some weird improvised films, I guess. Too.
Yeah, which is amazing. Did it help? Did being the director of the Ripley films help you as a performer? Do you think it informed you as a performer, and you got something out of it that way?
Absolutely. The biggest thing I learned, I think, was just that you are not at all served by planning or deciding whether or not something is good or right. And the best thing to do is just say, this showed up, so let's follow this. This is what we're following now. No one gets to judge it. This is what we do. And you see where it goes. And when you really just honor the thing that showed up without judging it, it really can turn into something pretty great and magical if you don't try to fix it. And I think that was maybe my biggest lesson there. Because all, closet perfectionists, I like things to go well.
and not so closeted perfectionists as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I try so hard to hide it sometimes. And in improv, it's easier to let it all go. But I think I do still often go, wait, but that's not in genre, or that isn't what they told us to do, or what the audience is expecting. Or there's one show I did where I really thought I was an alien, and then someone called me a robot, and I really thought I might just have to stop performing forever. It's just this weird feeling you get. I
think we've talked about that, or I saw it, or I was in it, or something, because I remember talking about this, the alien versus robot situation.
Yeah. And it just really showed me, getting to be on the outside of it and being involved as the eye kind of, and sort of the guide, really did show me that's no fun for you or for anyone. And no matter how surprising something is, or how odd it may seem to you in the moment, if you follow it, something really cool will show up. We were in our third day, and one of the actors turned to me halfway through and was like, there's no conflict. Nothing's going wrong. And she was worried. And I was like, it's totally fine. This is what we have. So let's do this, and let's just see what happens. And then it became this really cool story with a twist that no one expected, because we let it just be what it was without trying to manufacture something that we thought it might need. And it was fun.
To clarify, there's no, she was saying there's no conflict, meaning
everything was going well.
In the performance, in the story, not in the production of the.
No, not in the production, but in the story, nothing had shown up. No roadblocks, there's no friction. It was confusingly smooth sailing. And so we explored that, and it was really very interesting.
Which is, it's like lesson number one when you're teaching improv or learning improv is, people somewhere along the way, people became so obsessed with creating conflict in order to make it quote unquote interesting.
Yeah.
And so then there's that overcorrection that happens where people start a scene like, basically in fisticuffs, and it becomes boring, or at least maybe not boring isn't the right word, but it becomes
It isn't earned.
Yeah.
The conflict really doesn't work unless you care about the people first. I don't think, unless you're maybe using the conflict to make us care about one of the people. But yeah, I think it was like an easy way in. I did it for a long time to start a scene because it was just like start with emotion, which somehow became start with conflict in my mind. So
Yeah.
I did that for a long time. But gosh, the story we ended up with is like, you get so invested in the people that when the plot twist does come, it destroys you. Like it destroyed me when it appeared, which was so satisfying. And that wouldn't have happened if we hadn't just sort of relaxed about all of it. And I did a show on BYU TV called Show Offs, which is a musical improv show where we get suggestions of genres. We do short little scenes, the audience votes on one, and then we do a 20-minute musical in that genre. It's great. You like go backstage and you put on hair and makeup. They change over the entire cast in 15 minutes from street clothes into like huge, crazy, it's a very fun show. And then you come out and you do it, and there's a live audience there, and it's great. But what I learned from that experience from the showrunner is that kind of stuff only works if you create an environment in which everyone feels totally safe and like no matter what they do, it's going to be right. So I had the opportunity to do this and observe Adam's show running and McLean and Jake's producing and everything before I directed our films. And I just understood, like, you get the right people on set who are going to be excited and have a good time and be sending out those positive ensemble vibes no matter what, and you're fine. Like, it's so much of it is just about bringing the right people together to create that support system. So, and
the sort of the interconnected sinew of trust between the ensemble members, and everyone's taking care of one another. And the thing that I've started saying more and more often is that word trust sounds like I'm saying for you to trust the other person or the other people, but I'm also saying to trust yourself and, not get in your own way with expectation and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's sometimes the hardest thing to do is trust yourself.
Yeah.
But I think it's easier when you feel that loving energy from everyone else, because you think, well, they trust me, I should trust myself too. And then everything's just more fun.
Yeah. What advice, you've already given some advice, but do you have thoughts for creative artists who are trying to find their way of any age?
Yeah, I really think it's just there's a difference between, I think you can confuse learning and education with a set of instructions to follow, and they're different things. So don't think there's one way. Be yourself, trust your own instincts, and use your education to supplement what's already in you and what's already calling you. There's nothing you need to be other than yourself, and they're just giving you some tools. So
terrific. I love it. Kelly, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Mike. What a delight.
This has been delightful, and I appreciate your time, and I look forward to what's next as soon as we get back into rooms and can do things live in person.
Me too.
It's very exciting.
Well, I hope one day, Mike, that someone comes along and Impro talks you so that you can answer the questions.
Who knows? I mean, I'm a reasonably open book. And thank you to you for watching and or listening, depending on when you're experiencing this Impro Talk with Kelly Sue Lohman. And we'll see you next time. I want to thank our Impro Talk OBS tech, Mickey Marvel, and our YouTube chat moderator, Simon Duvall.